A poll shows that Camilla's honeymoon is ending. Thank goodness. You know, the mainstream media can only prop her up but so much without her doing an interview or speaking to people and talking about her policies. It so far has worked. Some of the polls has showed her in the lead, but we know sooner or later she's gonna have to speak. She's gonna have to um, 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 stand before the people and answer questions. She's gonna have to interview soon, and once that happens, I believe that's when we will see the real Camilla Harris. She won't be able to hide anymore, and her incompetence and her cackling will show. So we're gonna talk a little bit about it. We're gonna talk about the polls. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. Also, follow me on X where I post news there as well. All right, so let's talk about this news now. This comes from PJ Media's Matt Margolis, and he reports that if you're watching the polls, you've likely seen that Camilla Harris has been ahead in nearly all of them for the past week or so. We expected Camilla to have a honeymoon period upon becoming the presumptive nominee for her party, so in many ways, it wasn't exactly a surprise to see the polls tightened. I think a lot of it is a lot of the people that were voting Democrat in the first place saw that Biden was incompetent and he was old and didn't really have his faculties. So a lot of them were like, you know what, I'm not going to vote for this guy. But then they threw in Camilla Harris, got a little bit of excitement, and a lot of them that were going to vote Democrat anyway were like, okay, yeah, we'll vote for her. Is what I think was really going on. Plus the mainstream media caping for her, pretending like she's the best thing since sliced bread and lying for her and saying that she's black and all these other things. The mainstream media coping for her. However, if you're on Team Camilla, you were probably hoping for a larger lead in the polls than a 1.1 point advantage she currently has in the real clear politics average. But I'm gonna say here, the only way Trump really wins is by a blowout, because we know they're gonna bring some shenanigans. Can't really talk about it. So the only way he could win, Trump will win, is if they make it so bad, they whoop her so bad that they can't make any shenanigans, just like they did during 2016 with Hillary Clinton. So we cannot have this race close at all. But a new poll conducted by JL Partners for DailyMail.com suggests that the honeymoon period is ending. According to the poll, which surveyed 1,001 likely voters, Trump still leads Harris 43-41 nationally with the margin of error of 3.1. So it doesn't quite cover the margin of error. A separate online survey teased out the attributes responsible for Trump's lead. It found that voters still see him as the stronger, more charismatic candidate who is more likely to get things done. And that's true. Like, they're hiding Camilla Harris. She's not doing any interviews. If she can't sit before journalists and answer questions, how can you expect her to sit and negotiate with Putin? How do you expect her to sit and negotiate with Kim Jong-un? How do you expect her to negotiate with our adversaries and prevent us from war and things like that? She can't even sit down and do an interview with anyone, even the people that are the mainstream media, leftist mainstream media that are supporting her and caping for her. She won't even sit down and have an interview with them. But I digress. Even so, Harris scores better than Biden across the board, and it all suggests that she is shaping up to be a more formidable opponent than the 81-year-old she replaced. James Johnson, co-founder of JL Partners, noted that despite a challenging stretch, the poll still contains several positive indicators for Trump. Quote, "Do not get us wrong. Harris has made big inroads, especially with young voters and blacks, and she has started to close the gap with independents. But Trump holds an advantage with his base, who remain more energized, and has held his position with whites, Hispanics, and voters over the age of 50. And they don't mention that Trump is getting more support from blacks than any Republican in history. Um, it goes on to say Harris's biggest support remains relatively limited to 18 to 49-year-olds. A lot of this is due to Trump's dominance on the issue of the economy and the border. Duh. They the ones that destroyed the border. She's the one that destroyed the border. She's the one that destroyed the economy. And why would you expect her to come in and fix things that she destroyed? But the race is tighter. But the fundamentals still favor Donald Trump. Quote, but at the moment, we are looking at a race made tighter rather than transformed to a Harris shoo-in, Johnson continued. All eyes now should be on the independents. If Harris can make more progress with them, then we could see Trump's advantage disappear. And that's why she's not talking about policies, because the policies will deter the independents. Her policies, her leftist policies, only play with the base, only play with the far leftists that support her. It will not sway the independents. That's why her website still has no policy issues on there. Harris was catapulted into the race after Biden announced last month that he was giving up his re-election campaign. Trump insiders were initially jubilant, expecting weeks of Democratic infighting, but the party quickly rallied around the vice president and will show a united front at its convention in Chicago next week. And I think the convention is going to be a telltale sign. Watch how many pro-Palestinians come out to this convention and protest the Democrat Party. Watch what happens. But the result has been a series of polls showing that Harris has overturned or at least reined in Trump's clear poll lead. Trump took aim at Harris during a convention with a conversation with Elon Musk, owner of the X social media platform, on Monday evening. Quote, she is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco, and then as an attorney general, she destroyed California, he said, and I agree. The accusation that Harris is a liberal has found traction with voters who said in a survey it was their number one hesitation in voting for her. Again, even though the media try to clean her up and pretend like she's not this raging leftist, they even admitted years ago that when she was in the Senate that she was left of Bernie Sanders. She was the most progressive liberal Democrat in the Senate at that time. But despite the polls showing that linking Kamala to radical left-wing policies have been effective, which is a top concern about her in the survey, she outperforms Biden compared to Trump in several key areas, such as respondents viewing her as strong, competent, I'm going to laugh at the competent part, and aligned with voters' priorities, though it's hard to understand why. While Trump still leads on attributes like gets things done and charisma, Harris has strengthened her lead in areas like caring, moral, and stands for me. For sure, one poll showing Trump up doesn't tell us a whole lot. But if we see more polls showing Trump ahead, remember, prior to the candidate swap, Kamala was the most unpopular vice president in the history of polling. That's why I understand why how is she so popular all of a sudden? Well, we know why. Again, the mainstream media propped her up. But there's a reason for this, and putting her on top of the ticket doesn't change her fundamental weakness, and it's going to show when she finally debates and when she finally interviews. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.